Established in 2020, the Author's Porch is a space for authors to share their literary works of art. Founded by C.J. Ives Lopez, the Author's Porch puts authors first and becomes a premier destination for all at every level in their careers. When you join the Author's Porch, we want you to think of us as a beacon of light, bringing you home to a porch where your family is waiting to usher you into your greatness. From live cast to podcast, blog posts, and most recently, the magazine, the Author's Porch brings promotional services and advice to authors to get their writing published. Whatever the issue, the Author's Porch connects writers with a service desired to create their dreams into reality.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Author's Porch, where every good conversation happens. My name's Nicole Paquin. You may recognize me from co-host on the Bombshell Book Review. I'm subbing in for CJ Lopez this evening. She's got a ton of things going on, and I'm just such a big fan of author LoLo Paige that she said I could do the interview. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, hi Lolo, how you doing today?
Hi, Nicole. Thank you for having me on the Author's Porch again. I'm just thrilled about this.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so Lolo just got back from Las Vegas, and this is why we're having her on again, because it's so important to indie authors to build a tribe and to pay attention to what's going on around us and how people are building their brands and expanding. And I feel like getting a good chunk of information from you. I didn't get to go this year. CJ didn't get to go this year either. We're going next year for sure. And I don't really have a good excuse. I'm just kind of kicking myself. So I'm going to pick your brain for every little thing I can get from you today. Lolo writes romance. And how would you categorize your genre?
Well, it's evolved from when I first did it. At first, I put it in romantic suspense, and then the more readers that I get input from say, well, it's more action adventure-y. So I call it an action adventure romantic suspense.
Okay. I dig it. I've actually read your middle book. They're standalones as well as part of a series. So no matter which book you read, either Alaska Spark, Alaska Inferno, or the Blaze coming up, Alaska Blaze, they're all part of the series. But hi CJ. Oh, she's watching us.
I know.
Anyway,
I better behave.
Hi Elizabeth. Okay, so CJ and I actually reviewed Alaska Inferno on the Bombshell Book Review, and we had a blast with it. We loved it. And so I also understand you've been picked up traditionally recently, and you're going to be a hybrid author, which means you're going to self-publish as well as traditionally publish, which a lot of us aim to do. I'm on the same path. Why don't you tell us about when you first got to Las Vegas? And you checked into your hotel and you get all relaxed and stuff. What was the first talk you went to? Who did you go see first?
Oh, well, at the beginning of the 20 Books event, they do a big kickoff, and everybody is in the event center all at once in the Bally's Event Center. And Craig Martell and Michael Anderle, they introduce the whole 20 Books concept. They explain how it began, and they kind of get all of us revved up.
And it's 20 books to 50K. And the concept is 20 books to $50,000 earnings profit every year for indie authors.
Yes.
Which is very good for writers.
Oh, yeah. That concept was developed by Michael Anderle, and then he was good friends with Craig. And then Craig says, you know what? Why don't we take it to the masses? And so I attended in 2019 was my first one, but they did have one, I believe, in, 2017, I believe. And that's when they started. So it picked up a following, people, as they found out about it, we get on the Facebook community page site, And
Mhm.
then everybody starts talking there, and then the buzz gets going, and then he's a master at organizing this thing. It went off without a hitch. It was phenomenal.
How many
And
people do you say were in attendance this year?
oh, geez. I think this year it was around 1,800 combined faculty with authors, with writers.
Wow.
Yeah, they had some cancellations due to um, all kinds of different things. And then other people joined in. So when the dust settled, I think it was around 1,800. Next year, they
Okay, so
expect about 2,000.
all right, then I'll be one of those 2,000. Um, I want to know what your takeaway was, but before you tell me your takeaway, I want to know some of the more entertaining and fun things that happened while you were there. That's how I connect. I'm like, I want to be entertained. I want to learn, but I also want to mix and mingle and with like-minded people, and that's the exciting part for me.
Yeah.
Sitting and listening to speakers, I can handle some of that, but not a lot of it. So I just want to be there to be around my people. And so tell me what things you guys did to keep yourselves high spirited and on the fun level of things.
Oh, sure. Well, before the whole thing started up on Facebook and the community page, we created, or I didn't, but they created a Google spreadsheet for meetups and signups per genre. And so, and then
Oh, that's
whoever
cool.
wanted to start them, romance has 1 trillion subgenres. So what
Mhm.
happened with romance was we kind of broke out into, like thriller writers in romance, suspense, seasoned romance, paranormal, the usual subgenres. And so everybody signed up on the sheet ahead of time. And then, like I led the romantic suspense and the seasoned romance. So I set up a time and a date for that. And it was on Monday, the first day. And we all met down in the Bally's food court. And it was so much fun because your tribe just comes out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you're with people that you have all this stuff in common with. And
Wow.
that's where it starts. The camaraderie starts mostly in the outside of the
Meetups.
sessions in the meetups. Yeah, yeah, and that's huge for me. It was huge. That's where I made a
Oh,
lot of
you told
connections.
me something that the girls did that you didn't get to you
Oh,
didn't participate in, but I would have died if I would have been there and not done it. What did they
I
do?
know, I know, and I
Where
feel
did
so
they
bad.
go? What
They went
happened?
to Magic Mike's, woohoo,
And what happened?
and Channing Tatum gave them lap dances. Oh my god!
And I
And I
didn't go this year.
And I missed
What
it, I
in the
missed it.
actual okay.
I know,
Because I
I
write
know.
about male strippers. So I write about that world a little bit. So that would have been I've met him before, but totally different circumstances. So actually not. And yes. All right. Anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah, they had a
Oh
blast.
my
It was
gosh. But for you, what was your like your major highlight other than the meetups and stuff? I mean, was there something that just made you giggle, or did you find out a major secret
ooh, let me see.
to like
Well, I can't
the
talk
key
about
to
them,
the key to
but I did. I
success?
did. I,
You
I
can't talk
networked.
about them?
Well, I networked like my plane was going down. I did. I mean, I know how to work a room because I used to be an actor and I used to, did some marketing for my theater shows and I worked for the feds all those years and I led meetings and stuff. So I know how to get the
Work
most
it.
out of a few minutes. So because I'm venturing into the thriller world, not venturing, I already wrote a thriller, but I want to learn more about police procedure and that kind of thing. So I kind of hung out with the cops and the firefighter writers and groups. So, like Patrick O'Donnell and B. Adam Richardson, Kay Kennedy was the other
Whoa.
firefighter that I shared the signing.
I
She's
saw
a
that.
popular. Yeah, and Jody Burnett, she does the canine thrillers with the FBI and all these former cops and current firefighters and former firefighters. And we got together on several occasions and all I did was laugh. I mean, talk about relieving stress and all the jokes and all. But then we got serious and helping each other, and so that was cool. Yeah, I mean, it was just really fun.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So,
And
you sure there's nothing you can tell us that you learned that
well, you know, there were a lot of tidbits that a lot of us have been
she's
talking
like,
about.
just go to the conference next year. You'll learn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who was the
Well,
speaker that had the most effect on you?
oh gosh, it's hard to just pick out one.
Then give me 3.
Okay. Mallory Cooper is one. She
And what did she
is
talk about?
phenomenal. She talked a lot about how to create a fan base once you publish your books, how to become how to handle it professionally, how to get into the role of being an author and all the things that go along with that. I mean, she had a whole slideshow presentation that was phenomenal. And she laces it with humor. And that's, that if you want to keep writers' attention for an hour, I mean, you got to entertain us kind of too. We have short attention spans. So that was fun.
Mhm.
Becca Syme was another one. Becca Syme she's a motivational, inspirational speaker anyway. And she talked a lot about finding our strengths and our weaknesses and question the premise. And by that, she means that whenever somebody will put forth something out in Authorland or Booklandia or whatever, for example, I was following some sites that said, stay in your own lane. Don't write outside of your niche that you're in, kind of stick with what goes. And yet I like to write other things too. And so I write romantic comedies, I write thrillers. And she said, question the premise of that. You don't always have to stick with what people are telling you to do. Question it always. And then
Yes.
find your own path. Find your own
Yes.
path.
Yes.
So
I feel like a lot of people out there, I mean, I'm on all the sites. I'm a member of 20 to 50. And the introductory one too. I'm on both of them. Or for beginners. But I'm on so many sites and I just see so many people with big egos spouting all of this. Don't do that. You're breaking the rules. Don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
oh, how could you even dare ask this question? And I'm
Always
like,
question.
shut up. I'm like, we're all figuring out our paths. Loosen up. And some people just can't even take a joke. That's what I
Yeah.
can't stand. Writers are funny, and sometimes they'll put stuff up on the sites and they're making a literary joke, and
Yeah.
writers are literally literal. So they don't get it. They get mad and they try and break it apart. And, this doesn't make sense. And I need to make sense of it. And I need to tell her what she's doing wrong.
Right.
And this person's actually just making it funny. And I find that writers are such an interesting bunch because you have those. I have that literal part to my, like, a lot of times, like a joke will just like go
Right.
right and then
Right.
stop right there and I'll
Yeah.
catch it. And I'm like, oh
Well,
yeah, got it.
I attended a session by John Mayberry. I mean, he knew Ray Bradbury. He knew Harlan Ellison. Oh my God, the guy's he's an icon.
Wow.
And I had, never heard him talk before, but he said, write whatever genre you want. And I kept my own one pen name for all of it. He said, you can market it, you can do it, you can make it happen. And so he really inspired me to do that. And so I came away with that. The other thing I did was, before I went to 20 books, my CPA kind of, I did my taxes and I had really overspent on promotion and marketing, and I was real depressed. I had spent all this money and outspent my income.
You. Yeah, I've done it.
So I went to Joe Solari's session and he was excellent. And at the end, he goes, come up to the mic and ask questions. So I went up to the mic and I said, I was trying not to whine, like who likes whiners? So I'm like going, well, I did this first book and I was cautioned against spending all this promotion on it and everything, but I wanted visibility, but now I'm in the red. Now I've got to dig out of the hole and I've got to write 3 more books to get out of the hole. And so when I went through this, Solari said, did you accomplish your goal? And I said, yes, I got the visibility. And everybody in the room laughed because they've all been there, because everyone has overspent on their promotion and marketing. So,
I just did
I
it this
mean,
week. Oof.
I know.
I ran a campaign and spent got one sale and spent like 30, it was a small one, but I'm like $30. I made $5 and spent
Yeah.
$25. And I was like, delete, delete campaign. How,
Yeah.
okay, so tell us the part of what I like about the Authors Porch is it's a platform to help and educate indie authors or all authors who are going through this process. I teach a class called Getting Published, What Do I Do Now, that helps people not to get ripped off by the people out there that are just looking to make a dollar. Oh, CJ says registration opens for the next conference January 8th, and she's ready to jump on it.
Yes. Yes. And I
Yeah,
just
so
want to insert, this thing has gotten so popular. You guys got to be fast on that registration. Just saying.
okay.
Yeah.
So I taught this class to help people from spending money they didn't need to spend. So tell us what your experience was with the overspend on your ad so that we don't do it.
Sure. Well, one of the first things I should have done was do a business plan. I didn't do that. The other thing is that I didn't set a budget. I did not set up a budget for the first book. I had a chunk of money I had saved and set aside, and I covered my editor, my cover designer. I paid a formatter in the beginning, and
I did too.
all of
That's
that.
where I got majorly ripped off on the
Yeah.
formatting.
Yeah. So I
And
did
then
all
I
that,
found somebody who did it for free.
and I didn't do the Facebook, Amazon ads because I tried it and I suck at it. So I kind of, you got to spend time with that to really,
Yeah.
know what you're doing. So what I did was I did the newsletter swaps with Story Origin and Book Funnel, and then I did the Written Word Media's newsletters. I get the most bang for my buck out of those. I did get a BookBub deal international right off the bat with my first book. And
Wow.
that got, Australia, Canada, and the UK, I got those markets, and those organically are still following me. I mean, I'm like, God, thank you. But haven't been able to get the US one yet because I'm Kindle Unlimited. I'm in KU. And so that kind of restricts that. But so what I did was I did the newsletters. I did e-reader News Today, Red Feather Romance, Fussy Librarian, Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy, all of that stuff. That's where I got the most momentum, is through those.
Wow.
They are pricey, and they've gone up. Most of them are over $100, So yeah, that's what I did. And also what I did was I listened to an Orna Ross from Alliance of Independent Authors podcast one day, and she said, why don't you get your book and enter some of these awards, independent book awards, and on their site they flag the blue ribbon, the red ribbon, and avoid. So I made a list of the blue ribbon, and I entered 8 or 10, and yes, there's an entry fee for it, obviously, but they're not that expensive. They range anywhere from $35 to $85 or something like that. But I got 6 awards on my first book for romance by doing that. And that really, when you put those out on Amazon on your covers and in your editorial.
What was that again? You said, what was the name of that you entered?
I'm a member of Alliance of Independent Authors, ALLI, ALLI, and as a member benefit, you can go in there and find out a list of all the awards and contests for indie publishers, indie authors. And I just went with the ones that they gave a blue ribbon to, like these are the best ones. One of them was Indie Brag Medallion, Next Generation Indie Publishing, the Eric Hoffer Awards, things like that. And I finaled in some. I didn't get awards for all of them, but I finaled in a few, and that counts. So when I go to pitch, for example, to audiobook producers and things like that, I list all those awards, and it really gets them to look at you more closely. So yeah.
So after mentioning all of those things that you do, which makes my head spin as far as the newsletters and free booksy and all that stuff. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. Uh, what wouldn't you do again? What's the takeaway lesson from that?
I floundered into Facebook ads without really investing the time to learn how to do them. I was just throwing money at it. I don't know, I was busy. I was in a hurry. So until I tallied up everything I spent, I didn't get a bang for my buck on that. So I backed off all that, and I decided when I get 3 books out there, then I'll learn it again. But until I get a good trilogy out there, the whole thing is about read through when you're doing this series. And so in Kindle Unlimited, if you want to attract readers, of course, you've got to get that first book out there to hook them in and then get that read through. And what the ads do in Facebook and Amazon is they help you do that. So,
Right.
but
I've understood that and at the 20 to 30 or 20 to 50K, they do tend to push KU. I'm not a KU.
Oh no, they don't push KU. No, they have
okay,
Wide for the Win. Yeah,
okay,
they
so
have
wide.
Wide for the Win. Oh yeah. Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I never pronounce his name correctly. The guy that runs Draft to Digital, he was there.
Okay, D2D.
He did sessions on
D2D.
Wide
Okay,
for the Win.
so just so you guys know, independent authors out there, D2D is the site you go to where you just pop your book in there and it distributes it wide to all different kinds of platforms. But you still have to do the ads for those platforms. So you still have to, figure out how to do that. So even though you publish your book on Amazon, on KU, go wide, go everywhere, Barnes and Noble, blah, 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 Apple, everything, you still have to figure out how to market your book, because if you just publish it, it's not going to go anywhere. And a lot of people don't understand that. So this is why we attend conferences and we pick each other's brains, because a lot of authors don't understand that once you write the book, that's when the hard stuff starts.
I just remembered something I got to tell you real quick. Kat Martin. Oh my God, Kat Martin. I met her in the elevator.
Martin.
Yes, she writes romantic suspense.
Is this the one you fangirled over?
Yes, I met her in the elevator. And she's so cute. She's so petite. And I go, I know who you are. You're the one who inspired me to write romantic suspense. And she looks at me and I said, I emailed you a long time ago. I lived in Missoula. You live in Missoula. We have all this in common. And so she was telling me on the way down, I said, so what you've learned in your 35 to 40 years of being with traditional publishers, what would you advise me right now? And I was trying to get as much mileage out of her as I could, because we're walking down to the convention center,
Great
right?
question. Yeah.
And she said, you know what she said to me? She said, hon, stick with your independent publishing. She says, now I'm not saying that what I did was wrong or anything. She said, because that's all we had way back when. And I was lucky enough to get with a big 5 publisher. And she said, so that's been really amazing for me. She said, but now in today's world, she said, you can keep more of your royalties. And she said, I'll tell you something else. She says, in the traditional publishing world now, you're expected to do almost as much marketing and promotion as indies do. So she was kind of telling
unless
me,
you're with the big 5.
Yeah, well, my friend Mark Cameron, I mean, he writes the Tom Clancy's, and he just, all he has to do is write, and they kind of take care of all that for him. But he's in a different situation.
I saw that picture with him. I was like, how does that work? He's a ghostwriter for the Tom Clancy series?
Well, he doesn't ghostwrite. He puts his name on it, but he is contracted through the Clancy estate. So that's a whole different thing than all the other stuff separate. And so
what a hookup.
I know. He was approached in a writers' conference. He got that gig from a writers' conference. Mark Greaney walked up to him and said, hey, I like your Jericho Quinn books you wrote in Alaska. How would you like this Tom Clancy gig? And Mark said, when I interviewed him for an Alaska publication, he said he just almost fell down on the floor and just was sitting there.
You know, it's funny. I didn't realize that these very popular books, Tom Clancy books. When I was a teenager, this is very silly, but I used to read Sweet Valley High books by Francine Pascal, and she developed the concept, and for the and for each book, but she after the first few she didn't write them, so it's a different author every single time, but it says Francine Pascal, Sweet Valley High, and I just realized that, I don't know, a couple years ago, and so then when I saw that that gentleman holding the Tom Clancy book, I was like, wait a minute, is this the same kind of concept? And it is a trip. What kind of marketing is just killing it.
Oh, another thing that 20 Books was really big on this time, and there were a lot of sessions on, was collaboration with other authors. Collaboration's getting bigger and bigger. And people are teaming up to do all kinds of things. They're teaming up to write. They're teaming up. One author knows formatting. The other one does another thing. And they team up to help each other so that they can get books a little more quickly onto the market. I'm not a rapid release person. Some are. Some people,
I'm one a year, one and done.
Yeah. And so, but there's no rule on that. It's just whatever people want to do and what they're capable of doing. But collaboration is, if you have two writers, like Carolyn Peckham was there, and she's from the UK. Her and her sister write these books, and they're making a killing out there on Amazon with this because they co-write them. And they have an understanding what they're going to do ahead of time, and everybody's on the same page, and then they just whip out their chapters and they publish the books. And there's all kinds of ways now that indie authors have at their disposal to get books out on the market. It's just phenomenal, all the stuff you can do now.
My head explodes every time I think about all of the work that we have to do to further our careers.
Yes.
The writing the book and the revising the book, that's like this much.
I know.
A lot of people don't realize that. Like, if you're going to do this seriously, you have to do it seriously. You have to commit your entire everything to it, and I know a lot of people that still have careers that are trying to do this, and it's like, and CJ is one of them. She still has, like a 9 to 5, and she's just this booming entrepreneur. She's just every day it's a step up, step up, step up.
I don't know how she does it.
I don't
She's
either.
My goddess.
Yeah. So definitely keep an eye on the Author's Porch and CJ Lopez, and because I think just she seeks it out. It's not.
She's a rising star for sure.
Right,
Yeah. But the thing that I got mostly out of 20 Books was being with other writers, talking with them in person. You're not on a Zoom or anything. You're right there. And the way it was handled during this COVID that we're all dealing with, they handled it really well. For one thing, the casinos required all to wear masks. That was a requirement. That was not a 20 Books thing. So that kind of took a lot of pressure off of everybody. I mean, that wasn't a thing. And everybody did. They all did. And most of the authors that I talked to had been vaccinated, especially the older ones, and stuff. So that helped. But everybody seemed to be really aware. And they had, what I got a kick out of is, I have my tags here. I got a kick out of the way that Craig had set up. This is my 2019 and then my current one. They had red and black. If you're a hugger and you want people to, if you want to touch, they had, then wear black.
CJ, you need a red and black one.
and if you had a red one, then no, don't hug me. We'll fist bump or something like that. But I'm a hugger, and so I'd always come up to somebody and go, hugs, and they'd go yes or no. I mean, it was no big deal, but it was just so much fun I made a list of 30 people I had met online over the last 2 years since last time. And meeting them in person finally was really emotional because they had helped me do stuff out of the generosity of their hearts. The thing about the 20 Books also is community. A rising tide lifts all boats is the motto. And it's true.
A
I
rising tide
experienced it.
lifts all boats. It's such
I
a
experienced it. We
profound
all,
statement.
if we help each other, JFK coined it way back when, but
Mhm.
you know, but if we all help each other, we're all, none of us are competing with each other. We really aren't, you know. And if we help
And
each other,
that
then
is
we're
something we
all
do
gonna.
experience. Yeah, that is something we do experience in what we're doing. There is a lot of competitiveness and you know, there's a lot of people that are looking to tear you down rather than to lift you up. And so it's good to get in with that group of people who I
Oh God,
love that statement. It's wonderful.
I never experienced any negativity anywhere. I mean, everybody had a smile on their face, even through their mask. I mean, everybody
Oh
was
no,
like,
I mean like on the sites, you see people tearing other people apart
oh,
on the
yeah, I
people.
know.
If people put their writing out there, it's like, whoa, look out,
Yeah,
here come the sharks.
I
You
know.
know,
I
jeez.
just quit those sites. I don't stay on them
Yeah, I do
anymore.
too.
I just, yeah. But it's, I love the atmosphere, the ambiance. And I told Craig Martell, he came to congratulate me at my signing booth, which was the highlight of my time because he's a busy guy. And for him to take the time, he goes, well, we're both Alaskans. So
I was gonna
he
say,
stuck,
isn't he from Alaska?
yeah.
Yeah, don't you already know him?
No, well, not, you know, he's up in Fairbanks and it was like 400 miles away from where I
Oh,
live. I mean, Alaska's pretty big. So, you know,
right.
but anyway, yeah, I met him at the 2019. But you know, he said, "What was it that you liked?" He's walking around talking to the authors. He goes, "What was it that you liked the most about 20 books?" And I told him, I said, "It's the camaraderie, it's the generosity, it's the community of positivity that we are all here to help each other, to learn, to improve, to climb that mountain. We're all climbing that mountain, and we, you know, and everybody's at different points on that climb, and we're boosting each other up." When I help another author, another writer, when I love to coach beginning writers. I found out that about myself. I just love it
Mhm.
because people did it to me, and I want to pay it
Mhm.
forward. I
Mhm.
love that. So I told him all this, and he's like, he kind of sucked in, like he was getting a little emotional, and I'm like, oh God, but it's true. I've gone to
Mhm.
Writers Digest conferences. I've gone to all kinds of other conferences. There wasn't the ambiance of community and camaraderie that there was at this one. It just, it's unique in that way. Everybody is like, we're all in this together. I know we've heard that a lot during this pandemic, but this is really
Mhm.
true though.
Mhm.
And I got most out of these conferences than I have out of all of the rest put together.
Wow. Well, um, I am excited to go next year. I can't wait to meet you too, and it's gonna
I
be so
know.
much fun. And Elizabeth, who's tuning in, she said she'd really like to connect with you. Elizabeth
Oh,
Johnson. And you know, I love this whole paying it forward concept. You know, I think that's why I've connected with the people I have, and you know, I always try and have it be a give and take situation, or just a give situation, you know, because you just never know. Um, it's rewarding seeing somebody succeed, and
it is.
it really is, and that's what the author's porch is all about too.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're here and you're with us. Does anybody out there have a question for Lolo that before we wrap it up, that is that you're dying to have her answer? I can come up with 10 more of my own, but Elizabeth or CJ, who are following us today, if you have anything you want to ask that I've maybe not covered, go ahead and shoot it through right now. What is the thriller about? What is your thriller about?
It is called Otter Rock. It's in the Glacier Cove series that I'm just starting. And it is about um, a records analyst. Remember how young Jack Ryan in the film, I'm only a program analyst. I'm not, and yet he's the one saving the day, right?
Right.
Well, this is
Uh,
kind of along those lines, a strong female. And she goes to Alaska to investigate why her best friend drove her car off a cliff. And she knows that this woman wouldn't have done it on her own.
mm,
So she meets the state trooper, the Alaska state trooper, who investigated the accident. And so the whole book is her trying to find out what happened that led up to this accident. And then as the plot thickens, it goes wider and wider and wider and wider. And it's this huge, big thing that she uncovers in the process. So it's a little Clancy-esque, only because I loved all those movies. I'm a boomer, so I grew up with all that stuff. I grew up with the Patriot Games and Harrison Ford doing all that, and James Bond and all that kind of stuff, and secret agents that were women, and Emmett Peel and the Avengers. So I love that stuff, and I love writing it.
Oh, I can't wait to read it. And I love the way you're so passionate when you talk about your writing. I mean, I just see you glow from within. And that's kind of what this is all about. Writing is a roller coaster, but the reward, the pleasure we get from doing what we do is kind of the biggest fulfilling feeling ever.
I'm still on a post-conference high. You know that high you get after I'm still on that. So
nice.
Oh, Elizabeth wants to know, how long is the conference? Let's see. We drove in on Sunday, and Monday was registration and for everybody to get settled and everything. And then Tuesday morning is when it starts in full. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 full days of sessions. And then Friday, for the first time ever, we had an author signing where 300 authors were in a room all together in the event center at Bally's. That was an amazing experience too.
How many people come through there looking for books? I mean, is it agents and publishers, or is it?
Yeah, it's an eclectic mix of all kinds of people. People that live in Las Vegas that came down, people off the street, tourists, and other authors, fanning other authors. I mean, you know, they all go and check each other out. And I've been wanting to meet you, you know, like I did with Kat Martin. There's a lot of that.
I loved your signage that you had, the big poster signage. Where did you have that one done?
Oh, that was the one that where we signed all our names.
Transport? So they just open
the banner. Oh gosh, the banner. Yeah, I ordered that up in Alaska, and that sucker's like 7 feet tall and about 4 feet wide, and it retracts into a base. Well, I couldn't get it out, and Kay Kennedy and I we had both ordered banners. So she gets on Facebook Messenger and she's like, okay, try this to get it open. And we're both laughing because we're both trying to get these banners out anyway. But yeah, that worked out. And her banner and my banner were up, and she had the bare-chested dude, structural firefighter, and I had my wildland people who were dressed. I should have bare-chested. I need to bare chest my guys, I think.
Why not? Or an open firefighter jacket. It's an open one.
Well, on my third cover, I have his shirt open, his fire shirt open, and he's holding a puppy.
And tell me about that. There's a reason she put a puppy on the page.
In 2019, we had these horrible fires up by Talkeetna and Willow, Alaska. They were horrible because we have a lot of dead spruce up there, beetle kill, and they just blew through. Well, that's where a lot of mushers are for the Iditarod. They all kind of congregate around that area. And so it burned out several of the dog kennels. It was horrible. They had to evacuate all these dog teams. Some people had 50 to 100 dogs. They had to figure out where they're going to put them. It was a nightmare. And thankfully they saved them all, but I think there were a few that didn't make it. But anyway, so when I wanted to write this third book, I like to base them on actual fires in Alaska. Like the first one's the one I was on as a firefighter. The second one happened on the Kenai, and then this one. So that's what that is. And it's the sled dog. And so I won't tell you why he's holding the puppy, but you could probably get a pretty good idea why, you know.
Well, I thought the girls told you at the romance, the authors were like, put a puppy on the cover. People love putting animals on the cover.
Yes, the cozy mystery people. The cozy mystery people do it all the time. Oh my gosh. They do cats, dogs, parakeets, you know, whatever. Somebody did a ferret.
Parakeet.
You know, put your ferret on the cover. And so, yeah, when I go to promote this, it's going to be a blast. I'm getting a new golden retriever puppy when I get back to Alaska. It's a Christmas puppy.
Aw.
And I have my golden, and we pose her with the books. And so I'm going to do all my own ads and everything with that. It's going to be fun. And
Oh,
plus, I'm getting a sled dog ride out of this when I go
oh,
home and I talk with my musher who's helping me.
oh my gosh. That's so fun. Ooh, so exciting. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The dogs just they're so awesome. And
Yeah.
just the speed and the adrenaline. Oh, how cool would that be? Wow.
Yeah. So I've been reading all things dog mushing. I'm reading all kinds of books and yeah, and now I get to talk to some famous Iditarod mushers, which I'm a little intimidated by, but because their icons are legends. But
Hmm.
yeah, I get to do that. So that's what's fun about in
Being a
Alaska.
writer.
Yeah, in Alaska is a small town, so we have access to all these people that you normally wouldn't, you know?
Right. Right. I live 2 miles away from, or 2 hours from LA. I feel kind of the same way. It's like going to the zoo and petting the animals.
Yes. Oh, what is something people don't know about me? Elizabeth Johnson asked. Let's see. I just answered that question for somebody the other day. Well, I was a stage and film actor in my other life. I did community theater for some 30 years, going on 40. I'm dating myself, and then that led into getting into movies when they came to Alaska to be filmed. So I got into 5 Hollywood films as an extra. I didn't have a speaking role, but I got to stand next to Nicolas
Which
Cage.
ones? Which movies?
Oh, Big Miracle, The Frozen Ground, Beyond with John Voight. And then there was a movie that I was casted with a major role that was locally produced. This one was in Hollywood. It's called Proper Binge, and it's now streaming on Amazon. And I play the mother of an alcoholic. This is
I'm
fun.
going to watch that tonight.
Oh,
Proper
be
binge.
careful. It has a lot of profanity in it. Just a
Have
warning.
you read my book yet? Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. You know,
Actually,
I
profanity, I
swear
don't
like
use a lot of profanity, but I am rather naughty.
I
Um,
swear like a sailor in real life, so it
I do
won't,
too.
know.
I do too. My book reading last night, I think I said SHIT like 10 times. Terrible.
Well,
Just
you know,
naturally.
when we're with these big stars like Nicolas Cage and John Cusack and Dermot Mulroney and Drew Barrymore, you're not supposed to talk to them. You don't talk to the
Oh,
talent unless they
Dermot
talk to you
Merlot. I
first.
love Dermot. He's amazing.
I got to
Oh,
stare at his butt for like
oh,
10 takes. He was in a military outfit, you know, in the scene, and his butt was right in front of me, and I just sat there going like this for 10 takes. And at one point, the director comes up and he goes, "Ma'am, could you please close your mouth? Don't let the chin drop." I'm like, "Oh yes, okay." And then Nicolas Cage, I stood in front of him before we'd go out on our 20,000 takes of Frozen Ground. And Nicolas Cage, he has this wonderful cologne, and I would smell it like. And at one point, I didn't care. I broke the rule, and I go, "What is it you're wearing?" And he said, "Oh, baby, if I have to tell you, then we're gonna have to meet after this." That's what he said to me. He was joking, you know.
I know, but I love him now because I always pictured him to be stuffy.
No, he has a dry sense of humor that is funny when he's not on film. It is funny. And he walks back mumbling under his breath, you know, because we had a director that was his first time, and we're walking back off the set, and he goes, "Well, I wouldn't effing know how this goes. Like, I've never made a movie before." And it was just so funny listening to him talk. And then he'd get in the wings. He was doing one-arm push-ups for all us extras. We're all just kind of sitting there going, "Woo, one-arm push-ups, woo." It was fun, and it was all there in
Weird.
Anchorage,
That's
right
so
in downtown Anchorage.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun.
I
Oh,
gotta find a legal way to write about that in the future.
and so you've got your books in stores in Alaska and LA too. And you were talking about, you were telling me about bodice rippers or the.
Oh, yes, the Bodice Ripper bookstore in Culver City, California.
Mhm.
And forgive me if I can't remember their names right now. They're wonderful people. And they asked for my book. You know,
And you said like
Wildfire is,
big people walk in that store all the time because it's right there in the thick of things.
yeah.
That's
They
a
said
great
one of
place
their,
to utilize.
yeah, film directors and people come in there from Studio City and whatnot. They kind of go in and peruse the books to see, oh, what can we make into a movie, you know? And I thought, oh, good, because as you and I know, we're both screenwriters. So
Mhm.
movies,
I need to
yay.
call them. I need to call
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the movie tonight too. Oh my God,
Oh.
proper binge. What year did that come out in?
Oh gosh, we made it like in 2010. It just came out last year. It won the best actor in the Beverly Hills Film Festival, and it's gotten some honorable mentions. But I have to say, it's very graphic because the story is about when the alcoholic is doing his 12 steps to recovery, or however many there are, 10 or 12,
So it's
and
dark.
it's yeah, and it goes through what it captures what he goes through, people's reactions to him as he tries to do this. And
Okay.
it talks about the cycle that you're trying to break out of with booze and everything, and when you're in a culture of it and all that. So
Mhm.
it gets pretty graphic, just as a warning. And
Okay.
a lot of it's filmed in black and white to bring home the starkness of it, to
Okay.
bring home the despair and all that stuff.
And where does your character step in?
Let's see. I come in maybe a third of the way through, and myself and Ron Holmstrom, my co-star dad. Ron was the SAG-AFTRA agent representative for Alaska, so that he's the one that got me in all those films because we had worked together in plays, and so he's in there, and it's I get to throw keys, I get to cry on film,
Wow.
you know. Yeah, all those things that you
Can
dream
you
of. My
can you
dream.
actually produce tears and cry on cue, or did you put something under your eyes for it?
No, I did the method acting thing,
Did you
where
pulled it?
you think of your cat dying or your dog dying or something like that, or you
Mhm.
think of missing your mom or something, and then you just and
Mhm.
then I get caught up in the emotion of the scene. For me, I always have on those, even in stage plays and stuff. And
Wow.
you just feel the emotion of what you're, showing the audience you're feeling.
I was a terrible actress. Great theater performer. I couldn't act to myself out of a bucket. And so I find it fascinating that you were able to connect and method act. I just was never able to do that. But when
And
there's
it's real
music going,
handy. Method acting parlays right into writing, method writing,
mhm,
method acting. I mean, it's perfect for that dialogue. Um, where I'd say all those lines of dialogue all those years on stage, and so now when I do dialogue, it just flows easier, I think, because I had studied lines of, oh God, Eugene O'Neill and Arthur. I'm starting to forget my playwrights, all those people that write the cool plays, Neil Simon, and
Neil
people
Simon.
like that. Yeah. And the female version of The Odd Couple, I did that, and I was the Olive Madison for that, the Oscar counterpart.
I
That was
always
my
thought that would be great with two girls.
It was wonderful. It was
Oh,
fantastic. It was one of the
oh my
highlights
God.
of when I did acting. It was so much fun.
I hope you got it on film.
No, it was back in the
No?
80s before. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't.
Oh,
We have pictures, but that's about it.
oh, yeah, that's pretty standard for that. Well, that's a bummer. Do you have any plans for the future to do any more theatrical acting or anything like that? No?
No, I ended with Steel Magnolias, and I got to play Clary, and that was my dream
Oh
role.
my
And
God.
I had a hard time memorizing lines, and I think it annoyed my cast. So I thought, you know what? You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I thought, I got to hang this up because I was really struggling. Now I enjoy writing plays and writing lines for other actors. I love that.
Yeah.
And I got to
Screenwriting.
see, yes,
Yay.
screenwriting. And I got to see some of my plays
Wait, tell
produced in
us.
Anchorage.
Oh, you did? That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, keep going. I want to hear about that. You had your
Ah,
plays produced in Anchorage? When was
yeah,
this?
we have short attention span theater, and I wrote several 10-minute plays that people actually performed on stage. One was It was just in an airplane where an airline attendant, her boyfriend had broken up with her. So she worked in this hate speech of her boyfriend into the demo,
Uh-huh.
2 doors to the back, 2 doors to the, and like this. So I wrote a comedy thing about where she did that. And I
That's
was cracking
funny.
up because watching the actors breathe life into what you wrote is a whole different ball game
Right.
than you
Right.
just sitting there. Oh God, it
Well,
was
it's good that
fun.
you got that done because now we're into screenwriting. And as we know, as screenwriters, we have to take all of the meat and potatoes out of there, all of
Yes.
the direction, all of the stuff that we develop as writers, and just give basically dialogue and where the scene is set because it's up to the discretion of the actors and of the director. So, how are you finding that challenge?
Well, when I did my first screenplay, I sent it off to Blue Cat for notes, and they sent it back and said, I can tell you write novels. Get rid of the exposition. Because he goes, I don't care if the forest green trees alongside the mountainside and the sun is setting and I
Right.
don't care what they look like. Just say exterior, trees burning.
EXT.
EXT, trees burning. And I'm
EXT,
like,
forest, night.
oh, okay. And I
Ceasefire,
actually
quiet.
like that. I like not doing exposition. It saves me
And
workload,
it's
right?
and if you're adapting a book, then you can just paste and copy what you've already done and then just start pulling stuff out and then format it. And
Yes,
but
I'm
then you
doing
have to
that with a yeah,
do
I'm
pull
sorry.
different
I'm doing
scenes
that with the
out.
last yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I I get so excited, sorry.
I know, me
I
too.
I I was just it's you and I have so much fun. No, I was just gonna say I do that with Alaska Spark. I'm going through and I'm taking stuff out and sticking it in final draft, you know.
I didn't like Final Draft.
Ah,
Um, Sorry, Final Draft people. I have a friend that does movies. He's got one out on Prime too. And he's like, I just wrote it in Word. I just hit the tab
yeah.
button, tab, tab. I'm like, you know what? I already do that when I write. I double space it myself, boom, boom, so that it's easier for my critiquers to read it, and it's easier to edit that way. And so I just started writing it through Word, and I saved myself like $150.
Whoa. So Nicole, do you use developmental editors or do you use Critique Group?
I use both.
Yeah, I do too.
So I rely heavily on read and critique. I've been with the same people for 7 years. They're brutal.
Yes.
But it's super, super helpful. And it always comes from a constructive place. And it's very important to have other eyes on your work so that because writers miss stuff. They miss the throwing in certain details because they can see it in their head as they're writing it, but they don't put it on the page.
Right.
So, critiquers. But then I go through the developmental editing as well. Yeah. I said, give me your suggestions. What do you think I should do here? What about you?
Yeah.
So you do both?
Yeah, I do. I do. Oh, critiques and yeah, they're hard to find, CJ. They really are. I went
They're like
through
gold.
I went through 3 critique. I call them critter groups. It's easier to say. So I went through 3 critter groups before I found the one I'm in now with gosh, it's sort of intimidating. I'm just starting. When I go back to Alaska, I'm going to be starting with them because they're well-known Alaska writers, and I'm like, but
Hmm.
it'll be fun. It'll make me grow. It'll really,
It will.
you
And,
know,
you have to also know where to leave the stuff that doesn't take it or leave it. Leave the
yeah,
stuff behind that doesn't, that, you know, does just because they say it doesn't mean it's right. Or
yeah,
maybe they're trying to turn it into something that sounds more like them. I do that.
yeah.
I've done it to CJ. She's like, that sounds like more like you than it does me. Never mind. I'm like,
I do that
okay,
too.
right. So I just I start plucking sentences and putting things different in it. It's like a puzzle to me, and I get wrapped up in that and sometimes, but for the most part, I'm pretty thorough critiquer though. I get you'll get a nugget or two from me definitely.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
you have to have a thick skin in this business. you have to be, and you're doing it. You're pushing forward. You're exploring all avenues. You're getting the information. You're working your butt off, and you're paying it forward. And you have an awesome energy. You write awesome books, and I hope
Thank you.
we become part of. Well, I already feel we are a tribe. So we do need to keep in contact, have you up on the author's porch more often, see what your continued progress is. And if we have to go out, and you have to promise me next year we're going to Magic Mike.
Oh yeah, I'm not missing that again. I am so not missing that again, ever.
We won't get as lucky. Channing Tatum won't show up this time, but
You never know who will.
Well, we could go to the Thunder from Down Under. I write about them.
Yeah.
I kind of know the guy who runs it.
Yeah, I think
No,
that should be a date. I think we should do that, most definitely.
CJ, are you going to come with us to Magic Mike? She's probably like, oh, fun. No way. Well, I want to say yep. I told you. No way.
Right.
Yeah, I know her. It's funny. Well, thank you for joining us here on the Author's Porch. And it's been amazing getting to know you as a person, getting to know you as an author. And thank you for all of the information that you shared with us today. And
well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you and CJ both. I enjoy you guys so much. And thank you so much for your review on Inferno. I never laughed so hard in my life. God, that was funny. But thank you.
You're welcome.
So funny.
We had a lot of fun with it.
Especially talking about the sex scenes. Woo!
That's me. Yeah, CJ always starts to blush, but I can't help it. My brain just goes there. I can't help it. I like to be silly. So, you're welcome.
Well, it's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to us talking again. It's always so much fun.
Let's do this again in a month or two and see what is new, because you've got so much coming up. And let's reconnect here.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you, Lolo. Bye.
Bye. Bye, you guys.
The Author's Porch is a certified veteran-hosted podcast. Show your support, tune in, share, and subscribe.